Hello, my name is Kippi Waters. I'm the administrator for Peninsula Home Care Cooperative. We're a cooperative of caregivers devoted to keeping our community elders safe and happy in the comfort of their homes. Our brilliant story began just 2 years ago this month when I heard from Kenna Eaton that the U.S. Department of Agriculture had earmarked funds to start home care cooperatives in rural communities. And with the help of Rachel Williams and the CoLab, we very quickly met with members of the Northwest Cooperative Development Center to look at the feasibility of starting a home care co-op here in Port Townsend. And just 14 months later, with the help of EDC Team Jefferson and the local Investment Opportunity Network, Peninsula Home Care Cooperative opened its doors as the 7th home care cooperative in the country. The Northwest Cooperative Development Center continued to give us advice and training, and at our first board training, we were asked, why are you here? Why did you form this cooperative? And of course, as caregivers, we said, because we love our elders and we want to take care of them. The answer was no, that's not it. You're here for the members. You're here for the caregivers. And we kind of whispered, of course we're here for the elders. That's why we're here. And as a board, these are our founding members. We met once a month and sat around the round table in our cottage. And as we hired caregivers, they were invited to these board meetings. But they were told, you can't sit at the table, you have to sit outside of the circle. And as soon as the meeting starts, you have to stay quiet. And I noticed that these caregivers got up and left practically before the meeting even started, and they never came back. And as an administrator, this worried me, because I didn't know how I was going to inspire the caregivers to the ownership of their cooperative. And then in July, this last July, I attended the Worker Cooperative Conference in Austin, Texas, sponsored by the Federation of Worker Cooperatives and the Democracy at Work Institute. And I went to that conference with one driving feeling, one driving desire that I was going to figure out what it meant to be a member owner and how I could inspire our members to take on the role of ownership of our cooperative. And I went with my very best student mentality that I was going to sit in the front row at every session and learn everything that was taught to me. Now, Austin was a very different than what I expected. All of these sessions were led by worker owners of co-ops who had best practices to share. Most of the sessions were done in circles. There was whiteboards and sticky notes and group interaction and individual interaction. And my whole concept, I moved from a passive listener to taking an active role in my own learning. And a lot of times during the breaks, I would say to my friends, I don't think I'm learning anything here. And then the next moment I would say, oh my gosh, worker-owner cooperatives, this is social and economic revolution. And I brought all that inspiration back to Port Townsend and back to Peninsula Home Care Cooperative. And our next monthly meeting, we took that middle table and we pushed it aside and we made one circle. And we enacted a new rule that everybody in the co-op had a voice. And that meeting, you can imagine all these unleashed voices. Oh, I have a point, my voice is louder, listen to my point. I have a really loud voice, but I have no point. I mean, it was chaotic. despite the best efforts of our facilitator. But my gosh, nobody left that meeting. In fact, they stayed even after the meeting was over to talk and be together. So it was a good start. And then in September, I went to another conference. This was the first national conference for home care agencies, for worker-owned home care agencies. Just home care co-ops. It was in Dulles, Virginia. It was sponsored by the Cooperative Development Foundation. And it was completely different from Austin. This was all about, okay, you've had your revolution, you have your cooperative, but you also have a business to run. And we're going to give you tools to make sure you run your business successfully. And it was just a great information on marketing, governance, finance, client retention, member development. And I brought all that inspiration back to Port Townsend and back to Peninsula Home Care Cooperative. And in our next monthly meeting, before we started, I said, we all have a voice in this cooperative, and tonight we're going to talk about how to make our home care agency the best in our community. So if you have something to share, make sure you stay on point. And so we gathered with one heart and one mind. We took our caregiver hats off, but kept our caregiver souls, and we put on our business hats. And we talked about how we really are a cooperative for our members, because empowered members, empowered caregivers make the very best caregivers, and a successful cooperative exists for its members and our beloved clients. Thank you.